This is the 2-Minute Timeout with Joe Shuda on WRTA.
Why was former Steeler Rocky Bleier drafted into the Army when so many other NFL players were in reserve units?
Thinking about 65, 66, 67, the beginning of the war in Vietnam, then I would see that some of the players were in the reserve, and they would be at the reserve meeting over the weekend or their 2 weeks training during the summer. That was in the back of my mind. I thought the happiest day of my life at that moment in time when I was in training camp was towards kind of the end of training camp. Bill Austin was our head coach at the time, and Bill took me aside. I walked out of a meeting. He said, "Rock, can I talk to you for a moment?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Listen, we got this letter in the mail. It was opened accidentally, and it was my 1A classification. At that time, there was a student deferment, and after your student deferment, then you had to go back to you're eligible for the draft classification. So that was now I was back in being a 1A. I was eligible for the draft. And they said, "We think you're good enough to make this team, and we will take care of this for you," whatever taking care of this meant. So I just assumed, well, we get into the reserve unit. Well, time goes by, a month goes by, and 6 weeks go by, and 8 weeks go by, and I check, "Have you heard anything about taking care of this?" And they say, "Well, we're having a problem. The general retired, the congressman got defeated, et cetera, all excuses." And it just so happened that I got drafted. I fell through the cracks for whatever reason to report at 7 a.m. the next morning. So that all of a sudden I was in the Army at that time.
That's your 2-Minute Timeout. I'm Joe Shuda.